Let's get started with our first news. Dana White had the entire MMA community buzzing earlier today after dropping what seemed like a teaser for something big. He posted a picture of himself smoking a cigar on his Instagram story, and alongside it he wrote, "I have a feeling today is going to be an incredible day." That single line immediately had fans speculating, was there going to be a major fight announcement, a blockbuster event reveal, or maybe even something completely unexpected? The hype started building quickly across social media, with people throwing out every possible theory about what Dana might be hinting at. But just a few hours later, Dana came back with a follow-up post, and this time he completely changed the tone. He admitted, "I jumped the gun. Today is going to be a regular day." In other words, there wasn't going to be any breaking news or shocking development after all. He simply retracted his earlier statement, leaving fans both disappointed and amused. Many had already convinced themselves that a fight like Conor returning, Khamzat getting booked, or even a massive super fight could have been on the way. The fact that Dana first sparked such excitement and then immediately pulled back shows just how much influence his words carry in the fight world. Anytime he hints at something, people expect big things, and when those expectations aren't met, the reaction is just as loud. Some fans took it lightly, joking that Dana might have just been having a great morning cigar when he posted that message. Others felt a bit let down, saying it wasn't fair to tease something so vague without delivering anything substantial. This little moment is another reminder of how the MMA community hangs on Dana's every word. Even a casual post can shake things up, stir the conversation, and dominate the headlines within minutes. Whether it was intentional hype building or just an off-the-cuff thought, it shows the kind of eye impact he has over the sport and the fans. For now, it looks like there won't be any earth-shattering announcements today, but with Dana, you never really know when the next big reveal could drop. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we'd truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Move on to another news. Alex Pereira has once again stirred the pot, this time with a shocking story from his latest YouTube video. The former champion revealed that he had an unexpected encounter with Magomed Ankalaev and his team while training at the UFC Performance Institute. According to Pereira, the entire interaction was nothing short of embarrassing for Ankalaev. He claimed that the moment Ankalaev saw him approaching, he literally ducked into a small room, almost as if he was hiding to avoid a confrontation. Pereira didn't hold back in describing the scene, painting a picture that made Ankalaev look weak, nervous, and far from the warrior mentality fans expect at this level. Pereira went on to completely trash his rival, calling Ankalaev not only a horrible champion but also a complete embarrassment to the sport. He made it clear that he sees no toughness, no grit, and no real fighting spirit in the Russian. To take things even further, Pereira mocked Ankalaev with a brutal joke. He said that when they fight again, Ankalaev might actually climb over the cage and run away mid-fight rather than face him like a man. The disrespect from Pereira was loud, direct, and impossible to ignore. It was a message meant to sting, and there's no doubt Ankalaev and his team heard it loud and clear. What makes this even more intense is the fact that this isn't just about insults or trash talk anymore. This is personal. Pereira is locked in, laser-focused, and dead set on reclaiming the belt that slipped from his hands. He believes Ankalaev is undeserving of the position he currently holds, and he's treating this rematch like a mission to expose him in front of the world. On the flip side, Ankalaev isn't taking this lightly either. He's already promised that things will play out differently in the rematch. He says this time, there will be no leaving it in the hands of the judges. He insists that Pereira is getting finished, and that the outcome will be decisive. With the fight scheduled for October, the clock is ticking, and the tension is building with every passing day. The rivalry between these two fighters has evolved into one of the most heated matchups in the division. Pereira's confidence is sky high, and his words carry the weight of a man who has already been to the top and refuses to stay down. Ankalaev, meanwhile, is trying to prove that he can silence the critics, overcome the disrespect, and cement his place as a dominant champion. This isn't just a fight for a title, it's a battle of pride, reputation, and legacy. The insults, the encounters, and the heated back and forth have made it clear that neither man will be satisfied with a simple win. They want to break each other, humiliate each other, and make a statement that will echo throughout the division. October is closing in fast, and this rematch has all the ingredients to explode into one of the most intense showdowns of the year. Move on to another news. Pereira has made it clear that his eyes are firmly locked on the UFC Middleweight Championship, a belt currently held by Khamzat. The Dutch star was originally booked to face Anthony Hernandez, but after suffering a serious injury, he was forced to withdraw from that fight. Now Brendan Allen has stepped in as the replacement for the UFC Vancouver main event on October 18th. That change hasn't slowed Pereira's ambition one bit, and he continues to position himself as the next big threat to Khamzat's title reign. There's already a brewing rivalry between Pereira and Nassourdine Imavov, with both men standing close to the front of the line. Only one will get the chance to propel forward and earn the coveted shot at the middleweight crown. Matchmakers will have a difficult decision to make because both are capable contenders with strong momentum. Still, Pereira believes that timing is on his side. With the holy month of Ramadan approaching, he wants his opportunity to come sooner rather than later. His plan is to put on a spectacular performance in just a few weeks and leave the UFC with no choice but to give him the shot he feels he deserves. Speaking with MMA Junkie, Ravsher didn't hold back. He said, "I don't want to wait. I want to line myself up to fight maybe before Ramadan. If Khamzat wants to fight before Ramadan, I want to be ready for that time. I want to fight right now, and the UFC wanted to keep me on the fight in Vancouver, so it worked out that way." His urgency is clear and his confidence in seizing that moment is undeniable. Meanwhile, Khamzat is more than ready to defend his title against anyone. He has already teased the idea of fighting at the historic UFC White House event, which would be one of the biggest spectacles in the sport's history. His dominance inside the cage has been fueled by his lethal wrestling, a style that has overwhelmed nearly every opponent who has tried to stop him. For anyone to survive against him, their wrestling must be elite. Otherwise, as fans have seen time and again, the fight becomes a one-sided beatdown. Khamzat has made no secret of his ambitions. He wants to carve out a legacy by becoming a three-division world champion, something unprecedented and truly historic. His goals stretch beyond just the middleweight strap. That's what makes every potential matchup with him so intriguing. A fighter like Magomed Ankalaev, for example, possesses a style that many believe could stand up well against Khamzat's relentless pressure and grappling. If that fight were ever to materialize, it would be a fascinating clash of skill sets. For now though, Pereira is shouting his intentions loud and clear. He wants the belt, he wants Khamzat, and he wants it all to happen before Ramadan. With the Vancouver card approaching fast, his chance to prove himself on the big stage is coming, and the stakes couldn't be any higher. Move on to another news. Chael Sonnen has never been shy about sharing his thoughts, and this time he's taking aim at the upcoming rematch between Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira. According to Sonnen, absolutely no one was asking for this fight to happen again. The UFC has a long history of giving immediate rematches to champions who have defended their belts multiple times, but Sonnen believes this situation doesn't fit that standard. In fact, he argues that the first fight itself wasn't even in high demand. Sonnen explained during a video on his YouTube channel that the initial matchup only came together because the UFC had no other viable options. He said, "The first fight wasn't asked for. The first time these guys fought, it was because we found ourselves in a situation where there was just nowhere else to go. Believe me, we tried everything. We tried to get Gaethje to derail the train, we brought Khalil in as the number 8 guy. We did everything we could to avoid making that fight. Finally, we had no choice but to do it." Now, with the rematch booked, Sonnen feels like history is repeating itself. He sees the UFC once again pushing forward with a fight that neither fans nor fighters were clamoring for. Well, now we're remaking the fight, the same fight that nobody asked for, including the athletes involved, he said. Sonnen went on to emphasize how strange it feels to invest so heavily in a alery that doesn't seem to have genuine demand behind it. Looking ahead, Sonnen pointed out the dilemma this rematch creates. If Pereira wins back the belt, it almost guarantees a trilogy fight. That would mean committing to a third matchup in a rivalry that in Sonnen's eyes never truly caught fire in the first place. On the other hand, if Ankalaev retains his title, Pereira may not immediately get another crack at him, especially considering how long it took Ankalaev to earn his first shot at gold. Sonnen's perspective highlights the complicated nature of UFC matchmaking. Sometimes fights are built around demand, rivalries, or storylines. Other times they happen simply because there's no better alternative. In this case, he feels the UFC is forcing a narrative that isn't there. Whether fans agree or not, the reality is that Ankalaev versus Pereira 2 is happening, and depending on the outcome, it could even lead to a part 3. For Sonnen, that possibility feels unnecessary, but for the UFC, it may just be the path they've decided to take. Move on to another news. The conversation around Ilia's first title defense has become one of the hottest topics in MMA, and Michael Chiesa is making it clear that Justin Gaethje deserves that opportunity more than anyone else. Ever since Ilia knocked out Charles Oliveira at UFC 317, speculation has been swirling non-stop about who would be next in line. Ilia himself has been vocal about wanting to fight Paddy Pimblett, repeatedly brushing off a fight with Justin by claiming it's not a matchup fans are asking for. But Chiesa isn't buying that narrative. In a recent interview with MMA Junkie, he broke down why Justin should be the clear choice. Chiesa pointed out that the timing already tells a story. If Ilia was planning to fight again in December, the UFC would have announced it by now. That makes it far more likely that we won't see him until early 2026. And when that time comes, Chiesa insists that Justin should be the man across the cage. Yes, rumors about Paddy continue to float around, but in Chiesa's view, Justin makes much more sense. It's a tough stylistic matchup for Ilia. And on top of that, Justin remains one of the most beloved fighters on the roster. Chiesa explained that even if the worst-case scenario plays out and Justin actually beats Ilia to become champion, it still wouldn't be a bad outcome for the UFC. The fans adore him, the promotion knows his value, and the reality is that Justin doesn't have much time left in his career. That's exactly why Chiesa feels he should be rewarded now. He hasn't just earned this fight through wins, he's earned it through years of putting everything on the line for the fans. To make his point, Chiesa highlighted Justin's fight with Max Holloway. Taking that matchup was a massive gamble, and while no one outside of Justin and the UFC knows if he was promised something for taking the risk, Chiesa argues that it doesn't even matter. What matters is that Justin has sacrificed his health, his longevity, and pieces of himself he can never get back, all for the sake of entertaining the audience. He has earned his place through blood, sweat, and the relentless pursuit of giving fans unforgettable fights. Chiesa also made it clear that the Paddy fight will always be there. Both Paddy and Ilia are young, and their paths will inevitably cross down the road. But Justin doesn't have the same luxury of time. His window is closing, and the UFC has to recognize that if they want to do right by him. As for Arman, Chiesa believes he still needs to secure one more win before earning his shot at the belt. That leaves Justin as the obvious choice. In Chiesa's view, the answer is simple and undeniable. Give Justin Gaethje the title shot while the moment is still here. Move on to another news. Matt Brown has made it clear that he believes Conor vs. Michael Chandler is a completely irrelevant fight at this point. Speaking with MMA Fighting, Brown explained that while Conor's name still draws attention, the actual matchup does nothing for the sport in terms of significance. He said people will talk about Conor fighting no matter what, but the Chandler matchup doesn't carry any real weight. It doesn't change divisions, it doesn't create new contenders, and it really just exists to sell tickets. Brown compared it to a potential Jon Jones fight, which he believes would be far more meaningful, especially for hardcore fans. He pointed out that Jones, considered by many as the GOAT, could end up fighting Tom Aspinall for a title, assuming Aspinall beats Cyril Gane. That kind of fight, Brown said, would be a game changer. It would have historical relevance, and it would be the kind of once-in-a-lifetime event that serious fans would rally behind. He continued by saying that if the UFC instead leans on Conor or even someone like Ronda Rousey, then the focus becomes nothing more than star power. Those kinds of matchups are spectacles, not true competitive fights. Brown admitted that for long-term die-hard fans, those fights don't spark much interest. They might get massive attention in the mainstream, but for people who really care about the sport, they don't mean much. Brown explained that from the UFC's perspective, though, it makes sense. What matters to them isn't what analysts or hardcore fans are saying on Monday morning. What matters is whether the average person, like a construction worker heading to his job, is talking about it with his friends. That's the type of buzz the promotion wants, and Conor still has the ability to deliver that. He admitted that from Dana White's position, booking Conor vs. Chandler is logical. It's a pick'em fight. It has two popular names, and the American audience would rally behind Chandler while still being drawn to Conor's star power. From a spectacle standpoint, it checks all the boxes. Brown just doesn't believe it offers anything of lasting value for the sport itself. In the end, Brown said he hopes that if this fight does happen, at least the undercard will deliver something meaningful for the serious fans, because as far as the main event goes, he's simply not interested in watching Conor and Chandler face off.